everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all well and welcome to my Citizen channel. And today it's a moments in time, so it's a city past today, and we're going back 50 years. We're going back to the 3rd of January 1970, over 50 years ago as I'm recording this. Yeah, I'm going to look at it in itself. Not a fantastic game, not a great game, nothing special. You won't have heard about it over the years. There's actual highlights on YouTube, but I think it's just one goal. It's just the goal you see on YouTube, so that's quite unique in itself from January 1970 when it wasn't on television. Yeah, so we're looking at a third round FA Cup game at Boothbury Park, Hull City, a team we've not played that often, have we? I mean, we played them quite recently when they came up the divisions, but not a team we've played many times. And it was January 9th, so we're defending our FA Cup trophy, weren't we? We'd won the FA Cup in 1969, of course, beating Leicester City, and this was our defence of that trophy, if you like. So we're going to have a look at that today and a couple of things surrounding it. So please, if you're new to this channel, please push that subscribe button, push the bell notification so you know when these vlogs are coming out. Make sure your notifications are set to public as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And if you do check my playlist, you see I do little things on films and TV as well. So if you or anyone else you know is interested in that, please, that'd be fantastic. You can point them in my direction. That's superb. Please, I'm always comments are always welcome. Well, you're at this game. I was just a little bit too young to be at this game. I wasn't going to away games for another 3 or 4 years after this, but so were you there? Were you there at this game? It'd be quite interesting. Let me know in the comments anyway. And please, if you've no time to leave a comment, so I know you're out there, just please give us a little thumbs up. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Right, so here we go. We arrived in Hull. This is the programme. You'll see an image on the screen as well, so that's the programme there. Yeah, it would have been an interesting season for City, not particularly in the FA Cup, which is what we're talking about today, but we would complete, obviously, a historic European and domestic cup double in this season. Obviously, this is January 1970, so we were still in the Cup Winners' Cup, still going through that. And obviously we were still in the League Cup as well. So at this stage, and as you know, if you know your history, 1970, obviously we did a quite unique European and domestic cup double that season. Personally, I mean, obviously Hull City themselves, I mean, I had a little bit of a personal attachment in a way, because my junior school team actually used to play a little bit faded at the time. I remember, I think the shirts from about the early 60s, but we had this sort of second-hand kit that we all wore, and it was the Hull City colours. So it was like by pure coincidence, there's an image obviously you can see on screen. I'm circled at the bottom there, and that was actually taken around about the time this game took place. It was in the same sort of season, if you like, our junior school season, and the game that City played against Hull. And obviously we played in that similar colour. We played in, I don't think we're called the Old Moat Tigers. My brain says we were, but I can't remember whether that's true or false. But yeah, it was a sort of tigery amber and black. The black had faded a little bit on these shirts because we were quite old. But yeah, that was, I did know at the time that yeah, I did look around to see which team played in those colours, and I did realise it was Hull, but just by coincidence, pure coincidence to this, I didn't even know when I started pick this particular game to pick on, that there was going to be that coincidence. So it's nice to see that team picture was done virtual. Probably, you know, I'm not saying it's the same month, but it was certainly within the same time period that we're talking about, that school picture. So that was quite interesting anyway. That's just a little added thing to make it a little bit more interesting. I mean, we'll talk about the game in a minute. Yeah, it was. The moment in time is more for the welcome from Hull City, and this is the main reason for this moments in time feature. They'd been grateful a few months earlier when City had turned out a very strong team, which was a normal thing in those days. If you went to do a testimonial for a club, you usually took quite a good team to these. You know, you didn't send your kids. You know, your first team went, and they've been very grateful, Hull City, that we turned out a strong team shortly. And this was before the 1969 FA Cup final for a testimonial for their long-serving player. It was like 2 or 3 weeks prior to the FA Cup final in 1969. So they had a player called Andy Davidson, a long-serving player. And in a way, what they wanted to do was actually pay tribute to Manchester City for the team they had become under Mercer and Allison, obviously as a thank you perhaps for this turning out for this testimonial, you know, to give City full credence for what they'd done, and obviously for their achievements, because City were quite impressive. I mean, they were, you know, they were entertaining as well as winning games. It wasn't just a matter of winning; they were actually entertaining as well. So Hull went out of the ways to dedicate, if you like, most of the program, most of this match program was actually dedicated to Manchester City. They'd normally have a column on a visiting team, obviously, but for this they would go much further than that. So this just let me on the comments section in there. Just this will explain Hull's point of view on what they were doing for City. Introducing Manchester City in a column like this is both an easy and difficult task. Easy because the name Manchester City is not just a club known throughout this country, but is now equally famous abroad. The task is difficult in so much as one needs more than the space available in this column to pay full tribute to the wonderful playing record that Manchester City has established in recent seasons. We have therefore altered our programme format for today to try and give full coverage of our visitors' achievements as a club and record in detail the brilliant players in the Manchester City team. We cannot overlook the leadership and inspiration given Manchester City by Mr. Joe Mercer and Mr. Malcolm Allison. Not only do we pay tribute to Manchester City as a present FA Cup holders, but also for the manner in which they are upholding the standards and fine traditions of English football in Europe. We feel sure that today's match will be another fine encounter between two clubs whose first league meeting took place almost 60 years ago. So, I mean, there was some quite respectful words there. I mean, this is an opposing team. I mean, all right, if you look at the league tables, they're in the second division. We were in the first, but it was quite a feat, you know, quite an honour, really. I mean, it was really big of Hull City to do this. I mean, don't forget, programmes are only small page-wise. If you look at this, if you compare it to the programmes now, I mean, there's very few pages in it. There was 16 pages, so they had to cover their own things, didn't they? They would cover the honours and club details, the possible lineups, tables, forthcoming games. But Hull actually produced nine dedicated pages to Manchester City out of 16, and a couple on City and Hull combined, you know, within the full programme. So this included a page of City stats and honours. There'll be some images coming up on screen. 4 pages on introducing City players and pen pictures on the players. 2 pages of City images from match highlights. City matches, not Hull City matches, Manchester City matches. 2 pages of images from match highlights from this season's home games and last year's FA Cup final. So, you know, 2-page article on Malcolm Allison and Joe Mercer. An image of the 2 captains, and even action from the aforementioned testimonial game that obviously City went to before the FA Cup final, and even a small breakdown of our victory path to the last year's FA Cup win. So I mean, it was in theory it was a Hull City programme, but obviously it was virtually dedicated throughout. I mean, obviously if you take out the pages that were for development and advertising, and basically it was just Manchester City in the programme. I mean, I'm not sure what Hull fans thought of that, whether they were, again, it was a different time, wasn't it? Perhaps they respected that and they enjoyed reading about City. I'm not too sure, but they were different times. But it was a great gesture anyway from Hull City, and that's why I picked up on this, because I was quite surprised when I came across this whole programme and saw all the things dedicated to City. So that was just wanted to share that with you. As for the game itself, I mean, City weren't really at our best. There's, as I say, there's footage on the internet. If you type in, I'll put a link on the site on this vlog to it as well. But yeah, they weren't the best that day. There was only footage of the goal as well. Big crowd, over 30,271. Of course, Neil Young scored the goal, Mr. Reliable, on 70 minutes, and the referee was Mr. Roger Kirkpatrick. If you look at the lineups, I mean, Hull, I have no idea. McKechnie, Banks, Beardsley, Greenwood, Wilson, Simpkin, Jarvis, Houghton, Chilton, Wagstaff and Butler. And City's team that day, if you look at the City team, Corrigan, Buck, Pardo, Doyle, Booth, Oakes, Somerville, Bell, Lee, Young and Bowyer. And Jeffries was an unused substitute. So, a really powerful City team. But, yeah, only a 1-0 win. And John Maddox described the game writing in the City programme on the 6th of January 1990 in a looking back feature that was in this City versus Millwall FA Cup third round programme. And this is what he wrote in that programme about the game. The third round of the FA Cup found City travelling to the East Coast where they faced a tough tie with Hull City. A splendid gate of over 30,000 enjoyed a fierce competitive game on a crisp afternoon, the home side dominating the first half without being able to score. Young had to go off for treatment to a leg injury. Hull Simpkins celebrating the enforced absence by hitting a post, and then Chilton headed over Corrigan's bar. Up front, the Blues were disjointed, with only Summerby looking a threat to the home defence, but after the break we began to assert ourselves. The inspiration behind the improved quality of football was Tony Buck, aided and abetted by Doyle. The Hull keeper, McKechnie, began to feel under pressure as we got our game together. Bowyer hitting the woodwork and Lee almost scoring with a wickedly bending free kick. Inevitably, it was Buck who set up the Blues' winning goal. He split the Hull defence with a ball down the centre to Neil Young. Yeah, that's what you can see on YouTube. Who lobbed McKechnie as he sprinted from his line in a vain attempt to intercept. There's some images as well of him lobbing and the ball and the two defenders trying to get back to save it. Yeah, I mean, so that was taken, John Maddox, the match report there. So it was a pretty tough game. I'm not sure any Blues were there. I mean, obviously there wasn't any real crowd image. I think they cut away and there's a couple of people, you know, but it didn't look a massive Blue contingent. But I'm sure there's plenty there. Probably just didn't see them on camera that the Blues that went. So if you went that day, then let me know. As I said, my first away games were in 1973-74. So a little bit after this Hull City, and I've not actually been to Hull City for a game. I've passed the ground a couple of times, but I've never actually watched City there. Just let me know in the comments if you have. Yeah, so it's an okay start, wasn't it, to the defence of the FA Cup, but unfortunately, we would crash out at a shock defeat at Old Trafford in the next round, unfortunately 3-0, which was quite rare in those days. We very rarely got beat by United in those days, in the late 60s, early 70s. So, but it would be typical City, though, as it obviously it would become an iconic season in the history of Manchester City, and an achievement we've still not matched up till now, have we? We haven't won a European trophy and a domestic cup in the same season since. So there you go. It's still one record we hold. So there you go. Thanks for joining me for this Moments in Time as we look back at 3rd of January 1970, FA Cup third round, Hull versus Manchester City. Not the biggest or most memorable game, of course, in FA Cup history, but a day when the opponents showed full appreciation to a great City team. A lot of respect for the City team at a time by almost invariably their match programme became a City programme, you know, which just wasn't done in those days, even with the small programme. So it just showed what high regard City were held throughout football, not just by us, the fans, but obviously by English football in general. I think that's fair to say. Right, thank you. Thanks for joining. Please check my links on screen. If you follow or friend me on Facebook and Twitter, I'll follow and friend everyone back. I do check every couple of days. And please, as I said, check those playlists. That'll be absolutely fantastic. And always, please, just let me know your comments, what you did. Were you at Hull that day? Did you go to Hull City? As I said, I will have to get to Hull. I mean, I missed the opportunity recently, didn't we? I've been playing them, so a bit sad I've missed that. And please check out my little website, my little day job, moviegamenostalgia.com, for old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 1920s, some board games on there as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Whatever you're going to do with your rest day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. Until we meet again, please stay safe, Blues. Do the same. Goodbye for now.